Are you listening? Damn.
Yo, welcome back here. A little late, sometimes cramps do happen. And so we're here. We got here. I know some of you were a little antsy, which is okay. It's okay. It's all love. So love. And this week will be great. Here too with Ace Boogie. Represent the Bengals.
What's going on, people? How you guys doing?
And then we have Mr. Tony Serino here, bringing you up the ledge, Steelers fan, because he gives you all the encouragement you need. He gives you that. How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, I'm feeling great about the Steelers. Listen, let it never be said that I'm not trying to change the mojo, though. I wore the same hat all year. Okay, when the Steelers were 11-0 wearing that hat. As soon as they lost, tried changing the hat. That hasn't worked yet, so now I'm going backwards hat. We're going to see. We're doing anything we can to try and change the mojo here in Pittsburgh.
You should do it with the little chef one.
But yeah, listen, if I got to go full chef's hat all year, I will do it. Whatever it takes.
No. If the Steelers lose to the Bengals on Monday Night Football, you got to come in here with the paper bag.
Yeah, that's right. We'll have a different hat on that day. Yeah.
And that was my guy Quincy Carrier representing the Browns.
How you guys doing?
Anyway, so let's get started because I know we're late, and I know you guys were a little antsy. So, actually, you know what? Let's start with the Ravens game because that's the one that is the only game that is not a primetime game, right? We're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Minshew Magic is back for whatever that's worth. But, the mustache is back. I'm going to throw it to Ace. What do you think about this game, man?
For this game, say that again, Sonny. I'm sorry. I was looking at someone talking about I needed to grow a beard, but I can't. So
yeah, me neither. I haven't shaved in years. Anyway, I was saying, what do you think about the game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Ravens? Is Minshew gonna be any factor in this game?
I don't think so. I think the Minshew thing is pretty much forced right now. They kind of tried to bench him while they were essentially tanking for the season, and then they bring him in this game. Yes, it does make the Jaguars somewhat better, but I think the Ravens are on a mission right now to take care of business, and they're going to have to win out these last couple of games in order to make the playoffs. So I think they'll take care of business. The Ravens are on a mission, like I keep saying, and I think that this will be an easy game for them. It may not be super easy. It may not be a blowout, but I think if you get up on Jacksonville a couple of scores, I think that this game is pretty much over. Now, it is interesting because Minshew may be fighting for his career here, but it's already pretty much a foregone conclusion that they're going to take a quarterback, whether it's in the draft, whether that's in free agency, whether it's via trade, they're going for a quarterback. So he might try to put up a little bit of a fight, but with this secondary that Baltimore has, even with the injuries, it's still a tall order for Minshew and Jacksonville.
Yeah, I will say this. Let me just put it here, side mark. The worst thing that can happen for you guys Bengals fan is Jacksonville Jaguars decided to go with a guy like Dak Prescott or somebody out there in free agency as a quarterback, and then with the second pick overall, take that tackle.
Oh, so in that case, yeah, we're going for a Jags win. Gotta go ahead and move up real quick. In that case, I started cheering when it got close to Cleveland. I was like, all right, let me throw my Jags gear on so we can get up into that second spot. I do have a fear of that, Sonny. That is a very valid thing. That is something that I'm thinking of, especially if they're in that position and someone wants to trade up to get Panay or just wants to move up in that spot, period. That definitely is something that could happen.
Anyway, Q, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, Ravens going to win this one probably by like 14. I would expect sometime maybe a little bit. Like for a quarter, it might look like it's going to be closer than it is because Miles Jack might be able to hold up. Joe Schobert might be able to hold up a little bit better against the Ravens than the Browns linebackers did. But then, then law of averages, man. This team sucks, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're just not that good. And the Baltimore Ravens are starting to heat up a little bit here, especially, one of the things I said that held them back last year, or this year so far as their explosiveness on offense was their inability to get inside zone going off that RPO. That's back. if that's back, you got Mark Andrews, you got Willie Snead, you got everything you need. I mean, the problems with Hollywood Brown aren't going to be like a huge deal when you have that. Now, you could be worried about like a hangover type game where you play sloppy just because how could you not after the way you just won that game on Monday night? You're coming on a short week playing a team like Jacksonville that has to be a low for you. So maybe you come out sleeping just a little bit, but I just find it hard to believe that the Ravens are going to be sleep so much that a team like Jacksonville would be able to beat them, especially how well they played last week.
Okay. Before I go to Tony, here's a super chat for our guy, the Trip. Shout out to the Trip. Was gonna come with some Tony reverse psychology and say this game goes either way, but F that. We not losing the rest of the year. Big trust.
By the way, I got accused of reverse psychology last week. Did it not happen?
He worked for 3.5 quarters. You held him down for 3.5 quarters.
Did it not happen? I knew something with Boo Boo Brown was going to happen.
He said it. Tony, what do you think about this game, man?
Was it worth starting in fantasy, though? Oh, actually, maybe it was because he probably ended up with a touchdown in 70 yards. Okay, I want to correct the record. Ravens fans are very angry with me about the last show we did. They were all up in the comments telling me how, what do you mean? What do you mean free agents don't want to come to Baltimore? All the free agents want to. Okay, yes, you are correct. The majority of free agents want to come to Baltimore. I misspoke. What I meant to say was free agent wide receivers do not want to come to Baltimore. And that's not me saying that. It's been reported by ESPN and other outlets that is a problem for them in free agency right now because they are such a yeah, exactly. It's they got the free agent that they got was Des Bryant, who hasn't been in football in 2 years.
2 years.
So that's what I was trying to say.
We got Willie Snead. Come on, man. They
got highly coveted wide receiver Willie Snead in free agency, a bidding war that they ended up winning out. So anyway, that's what I was trying to say. It's the wide receiver position. We were talking about AJ Green last week. That was what I was trying to say. Okay, now getting on to this football game. Baltimore's probably going to blow them out. Jacksonville has played some good teams tough this year. They played Cleveland tough. They played Green Bay tough. They have been around in these games a bit, but they always fold in the end. And I expect, especially, given that this is a playoff game for Baltimore and this is a meaningless game for Jacksonville, that's how this is going to play. They may, like Quincy said, they may stick around for a quarter or a half, but by the end of this one, I would imagine this is a Baltimore win by multiple touchdowns.
Yeah. Let me say, as a Ravens fan, this game, should be a ECW. The receivers are pretty much out. Hollywood is in the C list. Boykins is in the C list.
But they're back in time for a game, right? Because it's a close contact.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They don't know yet. But for now, they're in the C list. To be honest, you don't need none of these three guys to beat Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think they're better without those three, to be honest.
Well, the big thing is Lamar likes to sometimes force feed Hollywood. For no reason. Exactly. For no reason.
Come at him on social media. You don't want to get mad at him on social media after the game.
Anyway,
you don't want no soldier problems,
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so on the other side, the corners are somewhat healthy, meaning Jimmy Smith ain't playing, but Trevor Williams is coming back or should be back. And a guy that I'm not a big fan of, and I know Tony knows his name, Bond. He should be back.
Love him.
He should be back, but at least we had depth. With Cleveland, we were down to safeties playing corners, right? So that's good. And you had two guys on the D-line that want to have a big show day, right? And Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue, especially Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick is coming wanting 10 sacks and 5 forced fumbles. He wants to eat this day. He played fairly good against Cleveland, although he didn't get any sacks, but he played fairly good against Cleveland. In the case of Jacksonville, I think he wants a statement game. I think this is his statement game. Look, and Jacksonville could have stopped the run, although it was Derrick Henry. But with Derrick Henry, who you got. It's just a hard player to stop. In the case of Baltimore, with the misdirections, I don't think Jacksonville has that personnel. I don't think they have the D-line. Yes, the linebacking core are pretty good. I love Miles Jack. God knows I wanted Baltimore to draft him. And they traded out with Jacksonville so they can draft him. But even with those two guys, again, the misdirection is what gets most teams. And I don't think Jacksonville has the guys there to stop that. I think this should be a comfortable win. I think Ravens by 2 touchdowns is going to be probably the score. Anyway, we have a super shot here for How you say this? It's not Microsoft.
Misfit. Not Microsoft's Misfit.
Misfit. Thank you. At Quincy, Freddie Kitchen will be calling the shots when Giants play the Browns this Sunday night. Thoughts? Revenge game. Checking with that. We're gonna move to Browns and Giants. Q.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of this going around, and people are like, "Aha, Freddie Kitchens, that's hilarious." Browns by 40. But Freddie Kitchens was not a terrible offensive coordinator. His problem was that he was an awful head coach. Not a terrible offensive coordinator. Now, if he's like drawing up the plays, oh yeah, that's gonna be like a Browns like good thing because Freddie Kitchens tends to try to get overcomplicated for things. He doesn't need to get overcomplicated. One thing I always remember is him trying to do double reverse trick plays to get the ball to Odell Beckham. Why do you have Odell Beckham if you're running double reverse trick plays to get somebody open? I'll never understand those decisions made by Freddie Kitchens here, but I don't think that's going to be a huge factor in the game. Like, how creative can Freddie get if his quarterback options are either Daniel Jones, who is a turnover machine, or Colt McCoy, who's serviceable. You beat the Seahawks with him. I'm not going to disrespect him, but very limited in what he can and cannot do. Yeah, I get it. It's a fun storyline. Freddie Kitchens here. It's honestly a good opportunity if you're the Browns to beat the 2019 Browns because you got Jabril Peppers on that team as well. Like all these old Browns on the team. So Colt McCoy, like it's your chance to beat the old Browns. Like to get rid of the same old Browns. You know what I mean? So that's one of the opportunities there. When you look at this game on paper before Monday night's game, I was a lot more concerned about it than I am this week. Because I was worried about New York's pass rush. I thought that was something that could get to us a little bit. And maybe they could stop the run a little bit, cause some problems, dirty up some pockets. But then, I saw Monday night, Baker dealt with a lot of dirty pockets on Monday Night Football. Was well. And, the Giants secondary is not what the Baltimore Ravens is. Even at the end of the game when Marcus Peters was limping and, you had more injuries in the secondary. That's why the Browns wide receivers were able to get more separation. I still think that version of the Ravens secondary much better than the New York Giants is at that point. Like I get Jabril Peppers is having a decent year, but I know what Jabril Peppers is, what he's not. And, I don't think he's going to be that much of a help. Now, I could be wrong on that. When you look at the other side of the ball here, the Browns are weird when it comes to turnovers, right? Because against good teams, they don't get any turnovers. Like they got a couple against the Titans, but like mainly all those turnovers come against these turnover-heavy teams, like Washington, like the Eagles, like the NFC East, like all the NFC East teams is where they got their turnovers pretty much. I expect that to continue, especially if Daniel Jones plays this game, which I don't expect. I think they have a better chance with Colt McCoy just because he takes care of the football. But when teams are turnover prone, the Browns are prone to capitalize on that. I expect that to continue. This is a Sunday night game. That was another thing I was worried about. Maybe, Browns have like a weird thing where they don't show up in big primetime games, but they play 2 8 o'clock games, and you probably got Baker Mayfield's like better performances out of those two. So I'm not really worried about that anymore. So going into this week, I was actually more concerned about it before Monday night. After Monday night, I feel a lot more confident. I still have to do more looks on this game. It's been a short week for me, but I feel confident in the Browns' ability to win this game. I just don't see where the Giants are going to be able to, one, stop the Browns offense, and two, put up points to the point to where they can keep up with the Browns offense is rolling. If this becomes a shootout, they can't handle it. And I don't think their defense is so good that they're going to be able to shut down everything the Cleveland Browns could do for 4 quarters.
Another super chat from the trip. Shout out to him. Oh, I got the Giants, the team, and now them. Sorry, Q. I'm
guessing the team is Washington.
Washington is the
team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got you. My bad. Anyway,
the Giants and the team over Cleveland. We already beat the team.
Yeah. Ace, what do you think about this game?
I think that this is a game where Cleveland's going to run away with this one. I think a lot of people are looking at the Giants, and yes, they have gotten hot on the last couple of weeks. I think people are really just hyping them up because no one expected them to beat the Seahawks, which was a crazy and weird kind of game there. But as we saw last week, Daniel Jones, even though I'm not high on Daniel Jones by any means, but he is their QB1, and he's not going to play this game. It seems like he's doubtful for this game. And with that being the case, it looks like the last game they were only able to muster 7 points. So Colt McCoy is Colt McCoy. We already know what he is. It's not something where you're afraid of Colt McCoy when you're going into this game. No offense, Browns fans. Obviously, you guys weren't feeling him because you got rid of him as well. But it's Colt McCoy, and it's the Browns that are a juggernaut offense. When you talk about the run game, when you talk about Baker Mayfield playing hot right now, this is a game that they can easily win. The Giants, yes, they may be first in their division, but it's the NFC least. We already know what that division is about. It's not like this division is super talented, and you're not going to see what you saw on Monday night, which was the Cleveland Browns and the Ravens going head-to-head. Like, that's not going to happen. The Giants can't play that kind of game. They can't score like that with the Browns. The Ravens obviously can. And so I think that this is going to be a game where you're going to see this is the difference between a team in the AFC North and a team in the NFC East, and where those two divisions are going this season. And I honestly, personally think the Washington football team is better than the Giants. So I think that this is going to be a game that the Browns easily win. They bounce back after that tough loss on Monday Night Football, and they take care of business.
Tony.
Yeah, I was, in researching this game, I'm surprised at how good the Giants defense has been since about midseason, since week 6. This defense is playing really well. They're 7th in EPA against defensively, top 10 defense. And you look at that same stretch, by the way, we talk about, Baltimore, and I agree, Baltimore's got a ton of talent on defense, 22nd in EPA defensively since week 6. So they've been decimated by injury at times. Obviously, the Steelers stuff hurt them a ton. But you look at what Baltimore's defense has done against good offenses recently, Tennessee, right, and then Cleveland. They've played down. And then you look at what the Giants just did to Seattle. I think there should be some worry, limited worry in Cleveland about what this Giants defense can do. But this is a good test for Baker Mayfield in this Browns offense, who has just been rolling through everybody. The Giants have a good defensive line. They've Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams playing on the interior, playing really well. Blake Martinez at linebackers played well this year. I think their secondary is solid, although they're going to be without James Bradbury, who's their number 1 corner. He's on the C list this week. He will not play. That's not a close contact. He will not play in this game. But Logan Ryan's been good for them. Jabril Peppers. Julian Love's a guy I liked a lot coming out of the draft. Glad to see he's starting there, although his PFF grade this year leaves a lot to be desired. But the storyline in this game is the Freddie Kitchens revenge game. Freddie Kitchens is calling the plays. And like Quincy said, he wasn't a terrible offensive coordinator. In fact, look, once he took over as offensive coordinator, that's when Baker really got going. But Freddie Kitchens is not a great game manager. So I wonder how much of that will play in, right? Will there be a dumb play call at some point in this game that changes momentum?
There will. Even when he was good at the offensive coordinator, there were plenty of stupid play calls. It just went his way.
Yeah. I will say this about the Giants overall. This is a team last year that won 4 games. They've already won 5 this year. They've been without their quarterback for multiple games. They lost Saquon Barkley very, very early on in this year. So credit to them. I mean, they are actually on the rise there. I know a lot of chat is predicting upset special. Okay, let's cool it there. This is a big game for Cleveland. I know it's a big game for the Giants, but the Cleveland's offense is playing so well right now. Again, you got to show me. You got to show me a team like the Giants can actually shut this down, because we haven't seen Cleveland even come close to getting shut down in recent weeks. So I'll take Cleveland here for the win.
Also, one thing to keep in mind is they had that stretch of 4 games where they did play really good defense, but you have to keep in mind who they played and what those teams excel at. You look at the Buccaneers, they played decent defense against them. Washington, they had no identity at that point. The Eagles, turnover prone. The Bengals, was without
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's without.
That was minus Joe Burrow, and then the Seahawks. So these are teams that are pass heavy regardless. Yes. And then they played a run heavy team in the Cardinals, and then 26-7 happened. Yep. So there are strengths and weaknesses in that defense. I would say if the Giants team right now played Pittsburgh, that would be a more concerning matchup, just because of where they seem to have their strengths and where the Pittsburgh Steelers don't and do have their strengths. That's just how matchups work. I wouldn't necessarily predict the Steelers would lose that game. I'm pretty sure Tony would at this point. But,
Steelers can lose to anybody right now.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not trying to say their defense isn't good or anything. I'm just saying look at where they've been good at, look at where they've been bad at. And then also keep in mind the Browns are getting Denzel Ward back this week, which is a massive piece. They're getting some healthier in their wide receiving core, just healthier overall than they were in the Baltimore game. So, all those things kind of combined and also knowing how this team shows up in primetime moments, It just makes you more confident that this isn't going to be one of those weird games. And I know people are yelling trap game. They play the Jets next week in New York. So the Jets, honestly, before the Steelers, that's the trap game. Yeah. That's the game you better not lose. You know what I mean? And you better win convincingly. But this game right here, still a big game against you've had a stretch 3 weeks in a row where you're playing a playoff team. So, you got to go out here and you got to get this win because, you're not going to make the playoffs going 9-7. So,
the other thing I want to point out about this game is this could be the game where Myles Garrett could seal up Defensive Player of the Year. Because you look at Hassan Reddick last week had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 sacks last week.
This offensive line is bad.
Yeah, they are terrible.
And that was going to be my point here. The defensive line of Cleveland Browns is good, and then they have the monster there. They had no answer for Garrett. They will have to triple check because who are they going to put? The rookie left tackle that they drafted? I'm blanking his name from Georgia.
Andrew Thomas.
He has not been good against average pass rushers. You get Myles Garrett there, it's going to be a problem. Look, they played last week against a team that is not as good as a running in the Cardinals. And, they were giving around 3-point-something a clip. So that gave him an extra yard there for being the Browns. That's be 4.4, 4.5 a clip is what I'm expecting the Browns to carry. Right there, it's game over. You add to the fact that Bradbury's not there, the secondary cannot hold the receivers that the Browns are going to present. And then on top of that, even if it is Colt McCoy is a guy that you're like, here, don't F the game, right? Don't turn turnovers and just hopefully the defense can hold. And that's how they play with Colt McCoy. Well, yeah, that's good. Well, there's two things. The D-line for the Cleveland Browns is big. Colt McCoy's not the biggest guy. So it's hard for him to see over those guys. But not only that, Myles Garrett. I'm expecting Myles Garrett to have 3 sacks and at least 1 forced fumble, 1 straight fumble. And I don't think it's going to be a contest, guys. I think it's going to be the same as Baltimore, actually maybe even more dominant. Because the other thing we cannot forget, 2 things. It's in Cleveland, right? New York is outside with their team, but shout out to the Browns fans. They were out there like it was full stadium against Baltimore. And
it's in New York. This game is in New York.
Oh, I thought, okay, well, so scratch that. But the second thing that I was going to say was this game is important for Cleveland. You cannot underestimate that. Cleveland loses. It's not that they lost to New York. It's now they're down here with the something in 5 teams, right? Right now they're sitting pretty at number 4. They win and they take the Jets. They basically lock that number 4 seed. It's going to be hard for them to lose that 4 seed or a 5th seed, right? If they lose, now you're here with the Ravens, the Colts, the Miamis, right? And now is when the potential of not making the playoffs could happen, right? Because they still have the Steelers matchup. So
but they do have tiebreakers, though. They do have the tiebreakers over the Colts and Titans. So
I agree, but the problem is, let's say everybody else wins, and then Cleveland just messes the week the Steelers game, that pushes to 6. My point is this next 2 games are very winnable for Cleveland. Obviously, they're big games, not because of the opponents, because where they sit. They can basically lock the playoffs. So I think this is a big game for Cleveland. They're not going to be sleeping on it.
Can they actually clinch this week? I haven't looked at the playoff scenarios. Can they?
They can't clinch this week because it's not an AFC opponent. But if
they can clinch next week.
They win out in New York these next 2 weeks. They'll practically clinch because I had 11-5 with the tiebreakers that you would have over the Dolphins then and the 2 AFC South teams.
Yeah,
it would take a monumental effort from the Raiders and the Ravens to be able to unseat you.
Yeah. If they win this game, they got the Jets next week. There's no way to lose that. Yeah, they'll get to 11.
Yeah, and my point is, if they win out in New York, which they should, they're done. They doesn't matter if they lose to the Steelers, they should be fine. So these 2 games are important. They should not be overlooking, and I'm not expecting them to be overlooking their opponents. Those 2 New York teams, they cannot match with Cleveland. Neither one. We'll talk about the Jets next week, but New York cannot match with Cleveland. Anyway, let's move on to the AFC North matchup of the week.
Marquee!
With, I felt sure it's calling it Marquee, but
it's a Marquee matchup. 5-star matchup because we're in it. It's time.
Bengals and Steelers. And look, let's be honest. The Steelers have kept everybody close, minus 3 teams. They have blown out 3 teams, as Tony corrected me, saying the Cleveland Browns was one of them. I forgot that they blew out the Browns, but the Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You could also consider maybe the Giants game was a semi-blowout. That was, by the way, touchdown was 26-9 for most of that game. Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay. Anyway, I did tell Tony, and before I throw it to my guy Q, I did tell Tony that if the Steelers for some reason lose to the Bengals, this is it. They ain't winning no more games. They're not winning any more games. If they decide this is the game that should be for the Steelers, Ace, a practice, meaning let's try different things, because after this game, we get 2 big challenges, right? You go to the Colts and Cleveland. The only way that I see the Steelers winning or losing this game is if they're overlooking the Bengals because they have a big matchup on a short week against the Colts. And that's the only way, because personnel-wise, the Bengals don't present any challenges, right? I've been giving credit to the Bengals saying, like, oh, they have been keeping everybody close, and then last week happened, and after that, it's like, okay, this team looks like, okay, we're done. We didn't want to show up. Let's just move on. So anyway, Q, what do you think, man?
You know, this is like the B-side of the game last week, right? Where the Browns and Ravens, they dropped the banger. Oh, my God. That was playing around the clubs. Everybody was like, hey, game of the century. And then you flip the tape, you're like, oh, this is lame. This is very lame, what we're about to watch here on Monday Night Football. And I don't know what version of lame it could be. It could be lame like, oh, the Steelers win by 30. Ben's all happy. He thinks he's back. You know, Steeler fans are like, back on track. James Conner had 100 yards because he got 30 for like 4 quarters and then got like one like 70-yard. That's normally how James Conner gets over 100 yards, by the way. It's like it's insanely accurate.
Yeah.
But either it's one of those games, or what I do think it's going to be is one of these games where it's like both these teams suck for 2 quarters or for 3 quarters, and then the Bengals, you know, finally do their thing and like throw like 3 picks or fumble or whatever, like basically gift wrap the game to Pittsburgh, and they still only win by like 7 points. Like I fully expect that to be here. In no way do I expect the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game. And Bengals fans, for many reasons, 4D chess, you don't want to win this game. Of course, draft positioning is important. You don't want to win that game because of that. But if Zach Taylor wins this game against Pittsburgh, when Pittsburgh's 11-2, they are going to keep him in Cincinnati.
That locks him up.
They will extend him for like the next 4 years. Like, you got to see what you got here. You know, he beat Pittsburgh. And then, Ace, I feel bad for you every time you go live. Every time you drop a video, there's going to be somebody like, hey, man, Ace, I think you're being ungrateful. He beat Pittsburgh. He got these splits again. He beat Big Ben. I don't think Marvin did that a lot. And you're going to be like, oh, my God, like, shut up for quite a long time. So for Ace's sanity, for Bengals fans' sanity, y'all need to lose this game. Y'all need to not win it. There's nothing good that can happen, because you'll be happy for like 10 minutes because you beat the Steelers, and then you'll realize what you done did to yourself. Joe Burrow should be watching this game Steelered up, baby. He wants to see, like, he gonna be out here with his Big Ben jersey on, talking to Lou Anarumo like, hey, baby, go back into cover 1 in the 4th quarter like you did against Baker. We need to lose this game like you lost us it that week. So if I'm on the Bengals, you don't want to win this game, but they're going to make you nervous, because I swear I think the Bengals are going to look like they're going to win this game at points, because the Steelers just don't want to win it, and that's going to be here or there. So either it goes one of those 2 ways. You know, my streak of being right about the Steelers has gone wrong, so I'm just going to throw as much out there to see if I can get back on right. But yeah, either it's going to be one of those games where they win by like 14, 15 points, and Steelers fans get back excited. They're going to be back in the chat talking jog like they accomplished something. And then, you know, we'll be there. Ben's going to talk about, I'm not retiring. I'm here for the long haul. You know what I mean? We know.
He's signing a 5-year extension.
He already came up with a knee injury, right? That part is covered.
Well, he's had the knee injury report came out last week, but
I'm about to say, no, it has to happen during the game so everybody can see it. You know, if he does get a knee injury on national TV when everybody's watching, Big Ben about to put up like 5 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like that's what he's gonna do. He loves the dramatic moments. For the Bengals, yeah, dog, I don't know like a logical way to say you could win this game. Like, you can't run the ball. You're not going to be able to run the ball against Pittsburgh. Their defense is still good. Like that. There's no question about that. The Steelers defense shows up every week. So like, I don't know what you're going to do to like. This might be one of those games where like nobody has. Where the Bengals just don't have a first down for like the first half. I just don't see how you're moving the ball. You can't run it. You failed miserably running the ball against the worst run defense I think in NFL history. This is probably one of the better run defenses in recent NFL. Like you look at what the Steelers have done against the run, it's been pretty incredible. And the secondary, that's an afterthought with Ryan Finley being in there. So like offensively, I don't know how you put up like 14 points on the Steelers if you're the Bengals. That's the biggest hurdle. Yeah, but the Steelers, they could be sloppy on offense, and this could be a very low-scoring game, so it might not matter as much, and maybe you can squeak by being close, but like a field goal or a couple field goals here and there because you snuck a tight end out or here and there. You know what I mean? Because the tight end seemed to hurt the Steelers. So we'll see. But, let me tell you right now, not looking forward to watching this. Feel like this is going to feel like a tremendous letdown from the last AFC North matchup. Like it sucks that it's back-to-back. Browns, Ravens, put up all these points, and the Steelers and Bengals might legitimately go out there and combine for 10 points. Like it might be. It might be like, 14. And it's all Steelers.
Really? Can we combine for the 20s? I mean, we can't even combine to get in the 20s.
We'll see. I think you're going to score. All the points are coming from Pittsburgh. I think there's no touchdowns for Cincinnati this week. So, yeah. So
I like that.
We'll see. They're going to feel confident about the defense, but the offense, I don't know if those problems are fixed just because you're playing the Bengals because, Bengals defense isn't like the most mediocre defense in the world.
Yeah, so before we continue, let's get the super chat here from Matty Bond says, if Steelers lose to the Bengals, they need to rebrand and become the Pittsburgh JV football team. And before we continue, super chats are also available like you saw there. So if you want to get one to be answered question or a comment, please donate. That helps the channel. Also, get that like to the video and share this video. And last but not least, we have been dealing with the spams in the chat. We don't mind trash talking. We definitely don't mind trash talking to us. But the spam will be put in a timeout, so be leery into that. Okay, Mr. Ace Boogie, I want to know, what is your hot take for this game? How do you think the Bengals will win?
There is no hot take. How do I think the Bengals will win? Is that a joke? Is that really a question? No, the Bengals are not winning this game. Like it's not happening whatsoever. Especially if Ryan Finley is playing at quarterback. No.
Ryan Finley.
We're not scoring anything. If Ryan Finley is the quarterback, we're not scoring anything.
Special teams.
But this is going to be an embarrassing game for us. But it's something that has to be done in order for us to get rid of Zach Taylor. The only hope that I can hope is that it's so bad that they fire Zach Taylor, which they probably won't. But the only thing that you have to look forward in this game as a Bengals fan is just to hope that we pick off Big Ben like 2 or 3 times. Like that, you just got to hope that Jesse Bates can get an interception. The only way that the Bengals can score in this game is if the defense scores with Ryan Finley at quarterback. Now, somehow it's Kevin Hogan or the guy that they picked up today. Like at some point, that guy's going to be in the game because this offensive line is that bad. And you got T.J. Watt and all of these guys. T.J. Watt might have 3 sacks in this game himself alone. Easy. With how bad this is. And with Ryan Finley in there, it's happening because for some reason the offensive line does not like Ryan Finley. So we might set the record for sacks allowed in this game. But if he gets out of there, maybe the Bengals can score on special teams or defense. But outside of that, that's the only way that we can score. And I think, like you guys said, it doesn't. And it pains me to say this because I hate the Steelers. I hate Ben. I hate all of them. Like, the only person right now that I hate more than them is Zach Taylor. So, like, if Zach Taylor to get this win, and they keep
I love that.
I don't know. I can't deal with that. So I'm not looking forward to this because not only do you lose to the Steelers, which we've been losing to the Steelers for years now, which is definitely frustrating. This was a game where we thought Joe Burrow was going to be here. This was going to be one of his kind of statement games for next season. Now we don't even have Joe Burrow there to even make up for that first game against the Steelers or give us any kind of, jolt of confidence. And this is just going to be an ugly game that we have to see. So not only do we have to get blown out by Andy Dalton, we also have to get blown out by the Steelers on national television.
Back to back.
For everybody. just so they can see how bad we are. But the only thing that I'm hoping is that it's so bad that the Bengals make the decision the next day to fire Zach Taylor. And that may be wishful thinking at this point. A lot of people thought that they would do it last week. But, just being real, there's no way that we can win this game. Come on. This offense is bad. Zach Taylor is bad. I think that this is just going to show we're bad. So that's all that I can take out of this game.
Is this game at Pittsburgh?
No.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't matter where it's at. It doesn't matter if it was in my backyard.
It does kind of matter.
All right, I got a proposal. Over or under 17.5 offensive points put up by both teams. What are you guys taking on?
In the entire game?
In the entire game.
Oh, they'll score on us.
I'll take the over.
Me too.
The over eventually.
I think 21.
And I think it might take into the fourth quarter to get over.
I think it's 21 points is what I'm thinking. By the way,
I think we might see like 40 points scored, but it might be like, like the Steelers have like 3 pick sixes. Like it might be something ridiculous like that, or like a pick six, a fumble return, and then like a ball at the one.
Someone asked, are the Bengals worse than the Jets? Right now, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
The Bengals are worse than the Jets?
Right now. Sam Darnold is what? Sam, they will score points. We can't score points.
The Jets. The Jets aren't putting up huge points. They put up 3 last week, right?
The Bengals have not scored in the third quarter in like 6
It would be a game.
It would be a game.
It would be a fun game. Like if they were doing bowl matchups in the NFL, I would actually very much want to see Bengals Jets.
Okay.
Jets would beat us right now, and that's just because we don't have Joe Burrow. Like the Jets are going to beat us. You got to remember, we don't have Jonah Williams, who just went out. They just put Geno Atkins on IR. Like we literally don't have anyone. So if you go against someone not named, Carl Lawson can't do it himself. William Jackson III, good player. But if you target the other guy who we signed, what's his name? He's always getting burned all the time. LaShawn Sims. Oh, that's all.
Yeah, but you still got Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates is very good.
Jesse Bates is very good, and that's the only hope that you have because Jesse Bates is essentially him, Lawson, and William Jackson III. That's pretty much our defense. Anybody else?
You have to remember, you have an extra corner, and that is the Steelers drops, right? That works as an extra corner on defense.
Appreciate that, Sonny. I really appreciate that.
By the way, we're talking about the Jets real quick. Have we seen the end of this Jets schedule here? This is ridiculous. They're like what? They're 0-13 at this point. They play the Rams, the Browns, and the Patriots to close.
Okay, but I read a stat today that winless teams in this week are 4-5. Like this is when the majority of winless teams get their win. So
the Rams.
It's a weird stat.
We have scored
the Patriots is the only team there.
7 against the Cowboys.
Oh, they're gonna be
7 against the Dolphins. I don't even know. I think part of that 17 wasn't all offense. I don't think that was all offense either. So, we do not score. We don't score at all, especially with Joe Burrow out. We do not score. At one point, I think even Brandon Allen's first game, he had 50 yards at one point in the fourth quarter in passing. Zach Taylor is just horrible. So
Zach Taylor is 424-1 as a coach so far. I don't know how long.
Worst start ever in history. In history for a coach, he has the worst record ever. But we're going to start him back up.
Coach, because Hugh Jackson went 8-8.
Yeah, I was going to say, did Hugh Jackson go worse than that? Yeah.
No, but he went 8-8 his first year as a coach.
Right.
Then he went 1-31.
Right. Yeah, not even Freddie Kitchen, right? Freddie Kitchen was 7 or 6?
6-10.
Yeah.
6-10, yeah.
Freddie Kitchens is like Bill Belichick compared to Zach Taylor.
I wouldn't go that
far. Okay, so before we continue, because I don't want to forget this from Comboy175, he donated $1 there to support the channel. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for donating that.
Appreciate it.
Look, I don't know how long Zach Taylor has on their contract. I'm not sure, but that also obviously influenced Browns ownership. So hopefully he's a free agent after next year because they only had to eat the 1 year at that point. Okay, before I go to Tony, let me throw here my 2 cents. There's no way the Steelers are gonna lose this game. I mean, the Steelers need this game. The Steelers. I mean, it will be an embarrassment. I mean, this will be almost as bad as when the Chargers lost to the 0-4 Browns team, or when the Ravens lost to the 0-4 Miami team way back. The Steelers came with 11-0, and you can argue the team, a playoff team, and you can argue Buffalo definitely obviously a playoff team, and some people consider them a Super Bowl contender. But the Bengals, not only the Bengals, this is no disrespect for the Bengals, but it's you know what I said about the Ravens, that they brought the JV team, or the Pee Wee team is what I said, against the Steelers that game. Well, that's just what the Bengals are bringing. They're decimated with injuries. Their O-line is decimated with injuries. Quarterback 3, running back 3. The secondary is also a shell of itself with the backup corners. D-line is not what the D-line used to be early in the year. There's nothing there that can resist whatever the Steelers throw to them. This is why I said this is a quote-unquote kind of practice game for the Steelers. It's a game for the Steelers to try to see if they can have some running plays, right? This is the game to do so. If the Steelers really keep this game close, I'm not calling for style points, but it's just going to be defeating almost for the Steelers. So I don't know. I'm expecting the Steelers to basically blank the Bengals, either 3 or nothing, and then they can put 21 points. They should at least put 21 points. I'm not super confident in that, but they should put 21 points. Q.
It will be the Steelers special, where they play a close game, and in 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they get up by like 21 points. That's the Steelers special in 2020. They'll do that. They'll get back to doing that.
Okay. The trip says got Bengals winning.
Losing. Shocker.
Ooh. Okay, Tony. I know you're waiting for this. Go ahead, man.
12? They're holding the Steelers to field goal?
I'm actually just trying to add up right here. It's 38. 38 points. You know what 38 points is? 38 points is the amount of points this team has scored in the last 3 games when not assisted by turnover, meaning no pick sixes, no like turnover on a short field after this team is 38 points in the last 3 weeks on offense. That's how many points they've scored by just going down the field. This offense right now needs to get right. And this is definitely a get right game for the Steeler offense. Should be. And I know, look, and I was probably a little harsh on this team when I said I don't care if they do well against the Bengals because it's just the Bengals. I mean, this offense needs any sort of momentum it can get. I'll take it at this point. And I should say that the struggles that this offense has had has not necessarily been related to opponent, right? I mean, this is an offense that has struggled against Dallas at times this year, right? They've struggled against some of the worst teams in the league. So, they got to get right in some way. And hopefully the Bengals are that get right game on Monday night on the road. I listened intently this week to Mike Tomlin and Randy Fichtner and what they said about this offense and whether or not the changes that Steelers fans are hoping are coming to this offense are indeed coming. I mean, they do say that changes are not, they're not going to be upfront about what exactly those changes are, but it does sound like this team understands, hey, this offense is broken and we have to fix it. Tomlin referred to it as not an easy fix, but it can be fixed between now and the start of the playoffs. He also referred to these short weeks as being a problem for them as far as not wanting to install any kind of major changes. Remember, the Steelers have had short weeks now the last couple weeks. Quincy, I know it's not a great excuse for it, but at this point, I'll take anything I can get. That's right. One extra day is all it takes to fix it. This offense was 1 day away from being fixed, and here we are. They finally have the 7th day, which is when Tomlin makes this offense right. Tomlin did call out the team for not being physical enough, which I do think is a big problem for this team and has been. Clearly, the offensive line, the running game, right? They just, they're not moving people off the football. Now that's not going to get fixed, right? You're not going to get more physical with Filer on IR and Dotson not playing in this game. JC Hassenauer are going to start at left guard, and James Conner is probably not going to play in this game. He was out today in practice with a quad, so we'll see. He could potentially come back, but he didn't play much. He got only the second most carries in that game on Monday night, so we'll see. McFarland, by the way, the rookie that I like, the quick guy out of Maryland, did not even get a hat last week, so the Steelers seemingly are not necessarily giving up on him, but that's not the answer, certainly. Yeah,
they went from going to him on 4th and 6,
yes,
with a back shoulder throw,
yes, to not even getting
even play.
Well, that was the fix. You can't be tempted to throw it to him if he literally is not active.
I said the Steelers need to terminate James Conner. He's just
with who? It's Jalen Samuels right now. Jalen Samuels is RB1. Jalen Samuels.
Jalen
They
Samuels
say
is
that
good.
Wilson had lost cost.
Jump in with it.
I
Benny Snell is
will say
trash.
this for McFarland. That throw was not a great throw.
No, stop saying that. It was a back shoulder throw. Look, a running back. I agree, it's not a good throw.
He
Because
is
it's a running back.
open to the front. If he
It
leads
was a
it
back
forward,
shoulder. Deontay might come back. We had this argument.
Why did
Yes,
the
the
ball
other
go
thing
to
that
Benny
makes
it
first?
Why are you
Or
doing
is
that
it-
again?
Is it
Why?
Deontay will drop
or
it
is it
too.
the offensive coordinator's fault? Because who called the play?
Right. Whoever called the play, whether it's Ben, Tomlin, Fiechner, Art Rooney, I don't care who it was. Okay. That's the person at fault. Okay. Yes, I would have loved to see Ben throw that better, and I would have loved to see McFarland make a better adjustment to the ball. But you're going 4th and 2 to your third string running back. That's not a running back or a quarterback problem. But the Steelers the Steelers again, they benched McFarland for that. We'll see. Now, it's not just the offensive line that needs to get more physical. The cornerbacks have been winning at the line of scrimmage against the Steelers for the past couple weeks. And again, this is part of that adjustment to every team knowing this quick passing attack is coming. Well, we're going to play you physical at the line of scrimmage. You got to beat us off the line of scrimmage. They have not done a good enough job at that this year. So that's been throwing off the offense. I don't know if that's a 1 week fix. Though we're going to be better at beating the press, but we'll see. I do think what can help is that Fiechner called out in his press conference, they're going to use more play action. Thank goodness. No one in the NFL uses play action less than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think
you have to run the ball well to play action to be effective.
It's actually you would think that, but there have actually been studies done.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Play action is not
doing it. Yeah,
exactly. Just the idea of it being a running play throws the line.
It's better than no play action, but if you're not running the ball well, you can still just play the pass and say, well, if they're going to run, they're going to run. Again, it doesn't matter this week as much, I think. This is what I say. It's a prayer forward. Yeah.
I do hope though, and the one change I would love to see with this offense, I don't know that it's coming, but I would love to see more downfield throws, and not necessarily deep balls, right? I mean, this team does throw the deep ball. They consider, a lot of teams are running cover one safety looks, and so single high. Yeah. Bengals know all about this, and so that does leave open the one-on-one down the sideline. The Steelers have gone to that a lot this year. It hasn't been successful. Ben threw the pick on it last week. A severely underthrown ball to James Washington. The success that they've really had at that play, the majority of the success they've had at throwing to the sideline deep is getting called for play action or for pass interference. So, and that's been primarily Claypool, who I believe has the most pass interference calls drawn of any wide receiver in football. Well, I hope to see more of Claypool in this year. In this game, I hope to see more of Juju down the field. I hope to see this offense try to open up, not just with deep throws down the sideline, but with intermediate stuff, right? 10, 15 yards in the middle of the field. If this offense can start to prove that they can beat you that way, I think that gets defenses to back off a little bit. Again, it's not going to help the running game and all of that, but it could help this offense be more efficient moving down the field.
Tony, I got a question for you. Is a lot of the short stuff they go to on that offense, is that because they don't trust their offensive line to hold up because of the bad performance in the run game? Yeah,
it's a great question, and it's one that has been brought up. I think there is an element to that. Although Tomlin denied it in the press conference, said, "Look, we trust this offensive line in pass protection." One thing I think though is that the reason why they've gone to so much short stuff is two reasons. One, this is an offense built around guys like Deontay Johnson and Juju, who are very good catch and run players. But it's also an offense built to not make big mistakes, right? Not put themselves in second and third and long situations. When you're getting rid of the ball, you're not going to get sacked, right? And you're hopefully not going to throw a bunch of picks, although that has changed in recent weeks. But this is a team that wants to win defensively, right? And they want to win by trying to be efficient enough offensively. They can put up enough points and then win this thing defensively without shooting themselves in the foot. The problem for this team in the last couple of weeks is that they've just all they've done is shoot themselves in the foot offensively. So it has to change. And that's the big problem is that the reality of this offense is that it is built for guys like Ebron and Deontay Johnson, and they're too good to ignore in this offense. When you took Deontay out, the offense couldn't move the ball. So those two guys have to play better. The entire offense has to be more efficient. I hope the changes that this team is making get the Steeler team a win. This should be a win, no doubt about it, right? Even if they don't change it up drastically offensively, they still should be able to pull out a win here, and they'll clinch the AFC North if they do it. But I think for Steeler fans, we know, right? If the Steelers win this game, something like 16-10, and this offense still looks very lethargic, I don't know that any Steeler fans getting back on here on Tuesday and going, "Woo, we're back, boys!" Number one seed. That's not going to happen. This offense needs to look like a different offense, needs to be doing different things, throwing the ball down the field. We need to see more efficiency from the offense for this Steeler team to even feel remotely good about their playoff chances. And even then, right, if you're doing it against Cincinnati, it's one thing to do it to the Bengals, another thing to do it against teams like Indianapolis and Cleveland in weeks to come.
Okay, so let me read this real quick from the Trip. Says, no. I got the Steelers winning 34-12. but it will be a moral victory for the Bengals to score double digits. I'm crazy, but not that crazy. LOL. Shout out to the triple.
Moral victory. They got 10 last week with Ryan. They got 10 last year with Ryan Finley. They scored 10 last year.
So this is the main question, and Chad, you can just also be part of this question: is over or under 5.5 drops for the Steelers this week?
The guy in chat, one guy, when Quincy said over under 17.5 points in the game, some guy in chat said over under 17.5 drops for the Steelers.
Oh no, well, 5.5 drops. 5.5 drops. I think that's a good number. What do you think, Tony? Over or under?
What did they have last week? They didn't have 5 last week. I think they only had 4. I think in last week's game. So
they are close enough.
And remember, you guys are forgetting the most important part of this week. They have the 7th day. They're working. The 7th day is literally the answer to all of the Steelers' offensive problems. I'm gonna go way under. I'm gonna say no drops for the Steelers in this game.
By the way, how many days off they have before the Ravens game?
Too many. See, that's the problem. They got in their own heads in that one, right? Then it was not enough to fix the problems. Now it's the 7 is the perfect amount.
Okay.
Just God designed.
Q, you think they drop more than 5.5? Or you going with the under?
5.5. Like, that's a shocking number of drops. Like, they should never really be like consistently over that mark. But you're gonna get at least 2? Because Deontay's going to give you 1 a game. Eric Ebron. It's like every team has their thing, right? Where their guy just does it once. Like the Ravens do like the illegal procedure once a game. They're good.
Oh my God, that drives me crazy.
Yeah, they're good for it. The Myles Garrett will give you a false encroachment once a game. The Bengals, well, they'll throw like
Bengals.
I don't want to do that to them, but Zach Taylor make you pull your hair out twice a game, I guess. There. So I feel like they're good for those 2 drops. But you know what? Monday Night Football, I think they're going to come to play. I think Deontay Johnson's going to have a good game. I'm going to say minus the drop for him. Ebron's going to take 2 of those drops. 3 drops for the Steelers. 3 drops.
3 drops. Okay. So under. Ace, what do you think?
By the way, that 17.5 looking good because they've averaged 12.68 points a game the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, last 3 weeks. Well, no, I mean, remember, again, the Steelers defense can help here with a nice Ryan Finley pick 6 or a fumble.
Yes.
What I'm saying is offensive points only, though. So the defense.
Oh yeah, no, I would take on
17.5.
If you
combined
money on it, if I was putting money on it this week, I would probably take the under. I would take the under. And if they scored over it, I win because the Steelers actually offensive.
I would take the under because there's Ryan Finley is somehow going to turn the ball over multiple times in this game. I don't even think that they're going to have to worry
Ace
about.
Is hating on Finley so bad.
No, I mean Ryan Finley isn't good. He shouldn't be in the NFL.
I agree.
He should not be in the NFL. He can't throw the ball past 10 yards.
It is interesting though that the NFL can watch a guy like that play and just go yeah, we'll keep him on the roster.
The only reason he's on the roster is because of Zach Taylor. That's the only reason he's on the roster.
Yeah. Well, you're right. It does take that, right? It does take that. It takes a coach to really like the player. Mason Peterman was only on a roster because of John Gruden.
Wait. So you're saying the Finley is the Brian Scalabrine of the Boston Celtics way back when?
Not even that, because the Celtics were good when they had Brian Scalabrine.
That's true. That is true.
He brought some value to a championship team. You're not winning a championship with Ryan Finley on the roster. It's not about to happen. Ryan Finley, I don't know what he's going to do after this NFL career is ended, but he makes the Peterman look good, and he's the Peterman.
Damn.
Every time I watch Ryan Finley, I'm like, why ain't Peterman in the NFL? Why ain't EJ Emanuel and all these trash quarterbacks? I'm like, Josh Johnson can do this and he can scoot a little bit. Why isn't he in the NFL? Cardale Jones could be better than Ryan Finley.
Ryan Finley's regular season quarterback rating is 22.8. It's 22.8. Ryan Finley is horrible.
I guess the Bengals feel like a lot of upside there. A lot of upside.
The only reason he's on the team is because Zach Taylor met with him. It was before the draft. They hit it off. He was like, "Oh, I don't need to work it out anybody else. That's it. This is the guy. So that's his guy. They cut a whole bunch of quarterbacks they probably shouldn't have. Jeff Driscoll, all of this. And they got Joe Burrow, and they're like, "Oh, we're not going to have to put in anybody, so we'll just throw Ryan Finley in there." And then Ryan Finley was horrible when he went in. And then they were like, "Oh, snap, we have to go and take Brandon Allen, who was our emergency quarterback, and which moved Ryan Finley to our third quarterback." And now Ryan Finley's the guy. He is horrible. He cannot throw a ball over 10 yards. He's garbage. He's going to get sacked multiple times. It's like, I don't know what it is between him and that offensive line, but like as soon as Joe Burrow went down, it was just like everyone was coming through every single play.
How bad do you have to be in practice to get beat out by Ryan Finley? Right? Like how either Brandon Allen was like never asked to like he never got any reps in practice, so no one never knew if he was actually a good quarterback. He just happened to be there.
No, but
their guys are their guys, and that's what's going on. In
remember, Johnny, if you're in the practice squad, you get paid less, right? So Finley is up there to get his money, and then when it was time for him to play, it was like, well, you cannot play. Like keep you in the active 53. But the practice squad guy will jump you.
It's not that he's better. It's why you've seen Michael Jordan continue to play, even though he's given up 3 sacks a game. They do this weird thing where if it's like a Jim Turner guy or it's a Zach Taylor guy, they're gonna play. Like they're gonna say no to John Ross and they're gonna throw out Alex Erickson, no matter how many punts he drops, no matter how many fumbles he has on reverses that shouldn't even be going to him. Their guys are going to get a shot. So it's not that Ryan Finley was better than Brandon Allen, because I can tell you for a fact he is not. And he wasn't better than Jake Delagala. He wasn't better than Jeff Driscoll. He was just Zach's guy. And anyone who's a Zach guy or anyone who's like they have their guys pretty much. And that's happened on the offensive line. It's happened everywhere. Like that's why Carlos Dunlap was being benched and sitting behind, an undrafted rookie and stuff like that. It's just if they have their guys, they're going to play their guys, whether it helps us win games or lose them. And clearly, it's been helping us lose them.
Hey, so imagine if you're hold on 1 second, real quick. Hey, so imagine if you're Joe Burrow. You walk into the quarterback room. You're like, okay, Zach Taylor. He used to be a quarterback coach before he was a head coach. By the way, this makes it all egregious that he is. But you're Joe Burrow. You walk in there, Heisman Trophy winner, LSU. You just won the national championship. You are better in your sleep than most of the quarterbacks the Bengals had in their quarterback room. And they're like, hey, Josh, if you got any questions, Ryan Finley's our guy. Go ahead and ask him. He's the veteran in the room. Like that. What? Like that's who. Like he's bounced like Joe Burrow during the regular season. He's bouncing like no wonder Pittsburgh and Baltimore confused him so much. He's bouncing ideas off of Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley's the one like, hey, if you see double coverage, this is what I would do. And Joe Burrow has to be like, well, I guess this is what I gotta do. Oh, this is bad.
That is sad.
You
could
have just signed anybody. Now that looks like he could be a stunt double for Napoleon Dynamite is going to be our quarterback on Monday night.
Josh McCown exists for this.
Exactly.
This is why Josh McCown, Luke McCown would be better. You better get John David Booty, one of the Booty brothers. Like, come on, like this.
I'd take John Kitna right now. Get off the couch right now, John Kitna, and jump in this game. That would be better.
Good old Kitna.
Tyrod Taylor, you could have swung something for Tyrod. Like, there's got to be somebody that's just better as a vet. Like, because I'll get it. The backup's gonna stink when you have Joe Burrow. Like, that just is what it is. But like, come on, like he can't be like this is worse than like when they were trotting out Jim Sorgi behind Peyton Manning. Like this might be one of the worst guys I've ever seen play quarterback in the NFL. He had a 1.5 QBR.
Well, we have a super chat. Russell, yeah, we have one here from Russell. Give us $5. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
you have one from the trip who asked us if we would rather have Ryan Finley or
Nate Peterman. Nate Peterman. I'm a Bengals fan. I'm going to say you Nate Peterman.
I'd rather have Johnny
Manziel. I'd rather have Quincy go out there and quarterback than Ryan Finley. Like
look who I'll take before Finley. Mallet.
Kyle Bowler.
Whoa, we're about to say Kyle Bowler.
Should have been a bowler.
Kyle Bowler, man.
Yep.
That's like
Landry Jones. You guys love Landry Jones? Landry Jones. Listen, Landry Jones, one of my favorites.
Landry Jones, Mason Rudolph, Doug Hodges, all of them.
Not with Mason.
All of them.
No.
Hey, by the way, Doug Hodges has been on the practice squad. Like, y'all could have wrapped that one up. You know what I mean? Like, y'all could have got Duck. Duck's way better than both
boy Duck
on the Bengals roster. Like, Duck's won some games. You know what I mean? I would rather play Duck without him knowing the offense than Ryan Finley with all the expansive knowledge he knows of how to not be productive in the Bengals offense. Like, Joe, come on, dog. Like, this is like I thought it couldn't be worse than like looking at Brandon Whedon physically and then seeing Brandon Whedon be your quarterback, though, 5 interceptions on purpose.
You know what I just realized? you guys are doing this, but this guy's going to throw like 3 touchdowns to beat the Steelers on Monday now. Like this segment is going to come back.
That will make me happy. I just don't see it.
Unbelievable. So this is like a reverse jinx segment now, and I'm not.
No way. No. This is not a reverse jinx. Because you know what? When I did the reverse jinx on Hollywood Brown's actually an NFL receiver. He's just not a number 1 or number 2 or 3. He's like a 4 or 5 guy, right? You draft him first round as bad. But you know, he's a guy who you can rotate him in. You know, Ted Ginn. He's Ted Ginn. At the end of Ted Ginn's career. So that's what you get out of him. I mean, what was John Brown in the Ravens offense? He's the exact same thing, except for John Brown was a little bit more consistent.
John Brown was better than Hollywood.
Yeah, John
Brown's actually good. Like, you know, I mean,
John Brown had a dog in him, so he will fight for the ball.
There's no such thing as a reverse jinx when it comes to Ryan Finley. Like, not even at NC State is there a reverse jinx. He's Ryan Finley. Like, there's nothing you can pick it. That's not a bear. We're not poking the bear, Ryan Finley. We're poking the ant. And if you can't accidentally kill the ant by poking it, I don't know what you're doing, dog. Like, if the Steelers defense really allows Ryan Finley to throw for over 200 passing yards without an interception, they are overrated. They need to go away.
Win one game.
Because if Minka Fitzpatrick can't pick this dude off once, he's a C- safety. If TJ Watt, look, there's going to be a defensive player of the year battle going on, right? Because Miles is probably
it gets decided this week. Yeah.
TJ Watt's going to have a monster game, and they're going to meet up on week 17. That's going to be the storyline, Brown Steelers. But if TJ Watt does not get 2 sacks against this Bengals offensive line that actively hates Ryan Finley to the point to where Bobby Hart's like, you know what, I'm normally bad at my job, but watch this, y'all. I'm about to lose it. Like, that's how bad Bobby Hart's been, dog. Like, it's just been that bad. Ryan Finley can't move, can't throw out of his sack, can't find nobody. He can't make reads. He couldn't do this at NC State.
This is the reverse jinx. Now it's turning it. See, now it's turning into a reverse jinx.
How is there no way?
There should be no way. There should be no way. I mean, a shutout in the modern NFL is very, very difficult.
This is like
a shutout could be in the cards.
Yeah, I said 0 or 3 points.
A reverse jinx is like something that could actually happen theoretically. This is like saying, oh, just because we making fun of Luke Walton, he's gonna score 40 on the 05 Pistons. Like, no, this is not happening. There's no such. This is impossible. Like, it would be more possible for me and Ace to go out there and combine for 40 against the Steelers than it would be for that to happen on Monday Night Football. And none of those two things are happening anytime soon. Like, no, reverse jinx. Ryan Finley is the reverse jinx. What are you talking about? By the way, how many touchdowns does Ryan Finley have in his career? Does he have a positive touchdown interception ratio? Over 1,000 yards in his entire career. No.
Just by sheer force of will, he probably threw for 1,000.
Oh, he has 2. Sorry, he's got 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
One of them was against the Steelers last year. He threw one against the Steelers last year.
Playing games too, because Andy Dalton got hurt halfway through last year.
By the way, there's a guy in chat right now whose name is Peter Goat, and he has his name, or his icon is Nathan Peterman. So that guy's probably not happy with us right now. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to Forceman47, who wrote, for scientific purposes, let's see what happens in Pittsburgh if they lose to the Bengals.
I would love that.
Love that callback. Love that callback. Appreciate that.
Okay. If Ryan Finley comes out here and balls out and beats the Steelers, you have my permission to dodge the show.
Yeah.
No, I'm not first of all, not dodging the show. Not dodging the show. Okay. And second of all, I won't blame the Steeler defense. I blame this podcast for reverse jinxing. So
Ryan Finley. Can we put up an image of what Ryan Finley looks like? There's fear of Ryan. Like Minka Fitzpatrick will be like, yo,
he's not an intimidating.
We got to worry about what Ryan Finley gonna do. Not Ryan Fitzpatrick. I would believe you. If reverse fits on Ryan Fitzpatrick, yeah, that's possible. Ryan Fitzpatrick can cook every once in a while, but Ryan Finley. Why Ryan Finley does not deserve to get mentioned this much ever again. Ryan Finley.
Come on, why are we even talking about this guy?
What number does Ryan Finley wear?
Because
number 7.
There's a concerted effort by both Quincy and Sonny to reverse jinx this into reality.
Hey, so you can put it there. Anyway, guys, so one thing that I want to say as we're closing this show, next week being the Christmas week, our shows might be moving. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell.
It's worse than I thought. Wow.
That's the crazy franchise right there. Yeah.
Oh, man.
There he is.
Look at the dude behind him. He's like, oh, we ain't about to win.
There's another one where he looks just like Napoleon Dynamite, like on the sideline after he's gotten like drugged and sacked 3 times.
Oh, no, that ain't about to happen. Come on now. He's not about to score touchdowns. There's no touchdowns happening. The Cincinnati's not scoring a single point. On offense, they're not scoring.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We have another super chat here. It says it's from Ernie. Shout out to Ernie. Anything on the spitting incident between Landry and Peters? Does this add to the rivalry? I don't know. I don't know if you guys saw this video. Man, I thought it was very lame. Players spit all the time in the NFL. I think if Peters really wanted to spit on Landry, he covered him throughout the game.
Stop. Hold on, wait. I would give anybody else the benefit of the doubt. If this were like Marlon Humphreys, I'd be like, you know what? He could just be like trying to spit out his mouthpiece in it. But the fact that it's Marcus Peters, does this not look like 100%? Yo, this is Marcus Peters, like, kind of experience here. Like, this is why Marcus Peters went to Washington. This is why Marcus Peters got kicked out of Kansas City. This is the stuff that Marcus Peters kinds of do. Like, I'm not tripping on it because none of the spit landed on Jarvis. Like, if you spit on somebody and it lands in a pandemic, I do think you should be able to swing your helmet at somebody because that's foul on a whole nother level. But yeah, it's just weird. Why did we need it? Does the rivalry need it? Like, it was nice seeing the coaches and the players, get up and respect each other and kind of realize what the future might be if you can play like you can. But like, hey, what was that with Marcus Peters trying to spit on Jarvis Landry? And look, maybe he's trying to spit out of his mouthpiece or whatever it is, but he knew where he was spitting at. Like, he knew the general facility was a little bit close to Jarvis Landry. Like, he might not have been trying to shoot him, but he was trying to shoot his feet to see if he would shake a little bit so he can get a penalty or something. Like, this is Marcus Peters. He does stuff like this all the time. And I'm glad that Jarvis didn't react to it. Apparently he didn't notice it because I do feel like if he would have noticed it, he would have definitely reacted.
That would have been something. Yeah.
Because Jarvis does not react. So, it's just weird. Marcus Peters is also just weird. Like, so like, I don't think it's like a whole directive coming down from John Harbaugh. This isn't like, when like 3 or 4 guys are trying to do something dirty from a different franchise. And you feel like it's a directive from the coach rather than like, just one player getting out of hand. This is a little bit different than that. This is Marcus Peters being what Marcus Peters has always been throughout his career, which is a very good corner who is also a little bit of a dumbass.
I mean, that is fair. We have another super chat from Russell saying, Sonny, come on, man. I just think it's a big nothing, really. And nothing, they didn't notice it during the game. Somebody obviously wanted to make sure Juice saw the video replay. And I saw the video. I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, I think if Peters really wanted to spit him, which I think it would have been horrific, and I would have been good for him to be suspended if that would have been the case. Peters, he was against Landry a couple of times during the game, so he had his opportunity. Is it a good look for Peters? No, it's not a good look for Peters. Was it intentional? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
It's definitely going to be a story, though. It's definitely going to be a story. Like this is not a non-issue or a non-story. I mean, look, in Pittsburgh, we're talking about Juju before the game doing a TikTok dance on a logo.
Okay? Yeah, because he took the L.
Yeah. A Ravens player spitting at a Browns player during that game is a much bigger story than dancing on a logo.
By the way, if there's one team that the Browns should have, like, if you just look at the moments the last 2 years, that somebody should have got a helmet swung on them, it's the Browns against the Ravens. We had somebody get choked out and spat on during this game.
I can't wait for OBJ Humphrey again. But I mean, by the time that this teams match up again next year, I don't think it'll be an issue. Yeah, that's true. We can. If it is in January, definitely
It'll be a storyline
become a
then, but
story.
it's not really gonna. It's not like any of these two teams need to be more pumped up to play each other.
No, exactly. This rivalry is there now because just say Baker Lamar, right? Just between Baker Lamar, drafted the same year, young quarterbacks playing great. Just that itself makes it a rivalry, and then the rest is just added bonus. Anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here since we are over an hour. Please make sure before you leave this video, give it a like. Also, share the content. Subscribe if you haven't. Like I said, hit that bell because we might be changing some of the scheduling for next week. But before we go, Ace, where they can find you, bro?
They can find me on New Stripe City. Just checking out the mock drafts, like I said last week. Same stuff, different week. But of course, you can also find me here at the AFC North Top.
Tony.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Steeler Country. You can find me on Locked On Steelers every Tuesday with my friend Chris Carter. And of course, you can find me here Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified when we go live.
Q.
Yeah, you can find me youtube.com/Quincy Carey. You can also find me on Twitter at Quincy. You can also find me trying to figure out how in the world Ryan Finley became an NFL quarterback. I don't understand it. I never heard of the guy in the ACC, never heard of him at NC State. All of a sudden, when he got drafted in the 3rd or 4th round or something like that.
They traded up. We traded up to get him.
They traded up to get Ryan Finley. They looked at that man and said, you know what? This dude might have a shot. And you know what? I have lived through Hugh Jackson drafting Cody Kessler and being like, hey, guys, this guy's so accurate. Just trust me on this one. It's going to work out, guys. Cody Kessler, he's going to work out. Yeah, that was bad. Not Ryan Finley bad because at least Cody Kessler can go in the game and look like he belongs. Ryan Finley, don't know how he got there. Don't know how he did it. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you every time I see one of these mediocre quarterbacks thriving in the NFL, you do not need to be good to make the NFL. You don't have to be good at playing football. So if you're a young man out there and you suck, you throw 5 interceptions every time you get in the game, you can't do nothing. That does not mean your NFL dreams are over. Just make sure you get close to a Belichick tree or somebody related to Belichick or Sean McVay. Get real fire on that clipboard and on that whiteboard, and you might have a 10-year career. Because you know what? I feel like in 5 years, Ryan Finley's going to pop up starting somewhere, and we're going to be like, how that happened? How is this dude here? Peterman? How is Nathan Peterman still in the league? Because sometimes you ain't got to be good at what you want to do to achieve your dreams. And if that doesn't encourage you, I don't know what does.
And you can find me, guys, and NCG Sport everywhere, Facebook, IG, Twitter, also AFC North here. Like I said, subscribe and hit that bell so you're going to get notified. Thank you for everybody that donated. We appreciate all those donations. And remember, as we are moving close to Christmas, if you have extra money, I would say donate to a charity of your cost. Like I said, the food banks or Toys for Tots would be good for this time of year. A lot of people in need of, just food and just to make a Christmas for kids that don't have enough. I would suggest that. But I appreciate everybody that's donating here. I appreciate all the likes and the subscriptions. Take care. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.